In a small village nestled between the towering Himalayan mountains, where snow dusts the rooftops like powdered sugar and prayer flags flutter in the wind like whispers of ancient blessings, there lived an old monk. His robes were faded, his sandals worn, and his eyes gentle, warm, and filled with a kind of quiet joy that no hardship could erase. He had no name that the villagers used. They simply called him Lama, a respectful title for a teacher. And though he spoke rarely, his presence seemed to calm even the most troubled hearts. People would travel for days to sit with him, not for answers, but just to be in the peace he carried like a second skin. One winter, particularly harsh and unforgiving, a stranger arrived in the village. He was a traveler from the south, lost, hungry, and without proper clothing for the bitter cold. The villagers were wary. He didn't speak their dialect well. He was dirty, and his eyes darted around too much. Some thought he was a thief. Others said he was cursed, so no one helped him. They passed him on the narrow paths, clutching their shawls tighter. They ignored him when he knocked, when he begged, when he fell to his knees in the snow. The mountains had made them tough. Life here wasn't easy. Every bit of food had to be earned. Trust had to be built. And this man, he had none of that. But the old Lama one morning found the stranger shivering beneath a tree near the monastery gates. He said nothing. He simply bent down, took the man by the arm, and helped him to his feet. Together they walked in silence to a small stone hut where a fire was already burning. The Lama wrapped him in a thick blanket, poured him a bowl of warm soup, and sat beside him. No questions, no judgment, just presence. The man, still trembling, stared into the flames for a long time before whispering, "Why are you helping me?" The Lama smiled, the kind of smile that holds both sorrow and hope, and he said, "Because someone once helped me." That was all. Later, as the man regained his strength, he learned that decades ago, during a time of war and displacement, the Lama had been a young boy, alone and terrified. He had fled across mountains, just like this man had, and collapsed near a village. He had knocked on door after door. Most had turned him away, but one old woman, nameless, long gone, had taken him in, fed him, and wrapped his tiny frozen fingers in her scarf. She had said to him, "One day you will help someone the same way. That is how kindness survives." The man stayed with the Lama for many weeks, helping with small chores around the monastery. He never spoke much about where he came from. He didn't need to. The Lama never asked. What mattered was the now, the soup they shared, the quiet prayers they whispered at sunrise, the sweeping of snow from temple steps. Kindness, the Lama would later say to a group of young monks, is not always loud. It does not demand recognition. It is not always returned, but it plants something soft and powerful inside the heart it touches, and that is enough. The Dalai Lama often speaks of kindness not as a luxury, but as a necessity, like air, like water. He reminds us that in the end our true religion, regardless of belief or background, is compassion. He believes that our greatest strength lies not in our intellect, not in our wealth, but in our ability to care for others, especially when there is no reward waiting for us on the other side. In his teachings, he often shares simple, profound truths. That kindness begins with a smile, that compassion does not require permission, that helping one person, even in the smallest way, ripples farther than we can imagine. He once said, "Be kind whenever possible. It is always possible." And when we think about this quiet tale of the old Lama and the lost traveler, we realize something subtle but transformative. We're all walking through some kind of mountain pass in our lives. Some of us are villagers, hardened by time. Some of us are travelers, cold and desperate, and some of us are lamas, carrying warmth we were once given, but at any moment we can choose which one we want to be. Kindness is not an act of grandiosity. It is found in bowls of soup, in open doors, in silent companionship by the fire. It is passed down not through lessons, but through example. A cycle of compassion that begins not with speeches, but with presence, with choosing to see someone not for what they lack, but for who they are. The Dalai Lama teaches that the purpose of life is to be happy, and the path to that happiness It is paved brick by brick with kindness, with empathy, with the willingness to help someone not because they deserve it, but because they need it. So perhaps the next time someone knocks on your door or simply on your heart, you'll remember this tale and you'll find yourself reaching out, not with questions, but with soup, with silence, with the kind of compassion that has no name but changes everything, because someone once helped you. And that is how kindness survives.